Question mark. Buying a fantastic technology from Germany, UK, there's no question mark there. It's going to be accepted in India. Just look at Land Rover, look at Jaguar, selling like hotcakes. I mean, it's an idea where it sits.
And you also feel that this is a good time to invest into Europe?
I think so. I think for the last few years, it hasn't been better.
And America?
America, actually the problem is, or not the problem, is not a correct word. The issue with America is that it's very high on the IT side. And the kind of technology we are absorbing right now, chemicals, logistics segment, we are absorbing in automotive side, I think we can go closer home. Europe is good enough for us.
Today Indians are investing not just in Europe but in America and around the world. How difficult is it for Indians to invest overseas today?
From the point when you move outside India and you move into another jurisdiction, moving outside India is not any more complicated. It's more or less investing in India. The only issue which surrounds you is Foreign Exchange Management Act and how to invest money outside. It would have been more difficult if you had asked me this question 5 years back, but frankly, I won't bother about this because the rules and regulations are pretty much sided with the person who is looking at something outside in a greater interest. So that's fine. Once you move into an outside jurisdiction, then the jurisdiction takes over. So the idea would be, if you're going to put your money outside, find the right consultants and guides to take you across. One thing I have always, and I have helped a lot of companies from India, SMEs, which are investing outside or are selling Indian assets to foreign companies. The area where they always neglect is they will not invest money in good consultants and they'll go quite a bit of the way themselves. The price they pay later is equivalent to what they would have paid in the start. It's not an adventure worth its salt. It's really not worth it.
But you also think the numbers of people who want to return to India of Indian origin has gone up in recent times?
It has. Since the job markets outside are getting squeezed and the job market is pretty nice out here, and even if they get a 20% cut on their so-called salary out here, remember the cost of living index, which is high in Delhi, is still not comparable to cities like London or New York. So people are attracted back. They're getting a fair amount of action. They come into a country where they enjoy respect, and then there are tax rates and all which are comparable to the West. I mean 30% tax rates and all, they are not extremely heavy tax rates. Overall, I think it's a good story for people to come back.
How about the European Union and India? We have a free trade agreement that is under negotiation. The European Union is keen, in fact, to finish those negotiations and have a free trade agreement with India. Do you think we have more opportunities that could be tapped into with the EU?
Oh, lots more. I think we have...
No, I mean that in comparison to BRIC.
Yeah. See, actually, the thing is, in Europe, we have actually really touched only the tip of the iceberg. It's really nothing more than that. Our interactions with Europe, when you talk about it, frankly, it boils down to Germany, as I've been seeing it for and
Britain.
And Britain, of course, traditionally for very, very long. But there is technology, there is ideas, there are businesses, and there are markets which are sitting all across. France cannot be denied its place under the sun, some of the better known technologies. But then you have also given...
Well, most likely they're going to get a very large contract, a defense contract.
Absolutely, and they have been chasing it for the last 10-15 years, these kind of contracts. But France doesn't represent defense. Some of the better technologies, whether it be it in metro, transportation, logistics, they're sitting with them. And we as Indians must understand that right now we were being wooed, but time to woo the world has come. It is time we have to go chasing, and French people are known that they have something good. They are not going to come to you. You better go to them. We better understand this cultural differences of interacting with the world. There's other places, Scandinavian side, if you go down across to Norway, there's fantastic technology sitting out there. There's fantastic marketing opportunities sitting for us. Pharmaceutical industries can penetrate the entire Europe if we decide to use the logistics network better. So the trick is, how well do we know Europe? I think that's the missing question. Businessmen still do not understand that European Union is still a word. The reality, there are different countries and there are different rules and there are different wonderful markets which can be exploited.
If you were to do a SWOT analysis today on India, where do you think lie our strengths, our weaknesses, opportunities and threats?
Oh, that's a good one. I think our biggest strength as a nation and as individual is we have extremely high amount of creativity. It's a fantastic power we have, our ability to dissect issues and bring forth new ideas from within that issue is unsurpassed. And I've interacted with a lot of businessmen from, and I really respect this about fellow Indians. This, in a way, has also become a bit of a problem for us because we are unable to channelize this into teamwork. I think Indians, if we could work as a team, is where we will do rather well. The biggest opportunities for us are still sitting in the IT side. It's untapped. We have we do BPOs, we do call centers, we do software designing. But the area where I feel, and this is a question which my daughter asked me about 5 years back now, who's studying in UK right now, and she talked to me and she asked me one question. She says that what is that product which is internationally known? Which is that product which India makes which is internationally known? And believe me, even today, that question eludes me. What is that product which the world talks about India? And that's what I would like to see on the face of this planet, a product which is Indian and the world talks about it.
Since you've been advising people from around the world as to how to work with India and how to deal in the markets of India, what is your advice to Indians about dealing with the world?
Well, as Indian businessman, I have, like I told you, first thing is, of course, have a good advisor by your side. Preferably the person who's from that jurisdiction. I'm not selling myself. I'm saying pick up a local person. That would be my first advice. Second would be, remember to do your homework very well on the jurisdiction. We really don't. We go with our strong numbers. We have got so carried away by the Indian growth story that we have forgotten that they are countries. They have dealt with the world. They have dealt with other countries. A better homework of these locations would stand us better chance of success. We do our homework, and we do it on a very superficial level, and by the time the story comes home, it's kind of gone. And this is where I like to give an example again. Japanese businessmen, I see them, of course I find sometimes they're too slow. By the time, let's say I take a deal to them, somebody's selling in India, they sit over it 6 months and then they say yes, and by the time the company is already sold. Indians on the other hand, they'll do a quick homework which will last only a week or 2 weeks or 1 month or 2 months, leaving out the big houses. I'm not meaning, I'm talking SMEs. And then you go in, and then after the deal is done, you realize, oh, I slipped somewhere. So I think we could learn a little and give a little out here on this world scale.
And when you have these foreign companies coming to you now, asking you for advice on India, what do you tell them? Is this the best time to invest?
Oh, this is, I really, if ever, need to tell them, because the right now what is happening is, like I told you in the start, the BRIC nations, and we are sitting at number 2 after Russia, and we are looking very nice to these guys. So that helps a lot. Number 2, as a country, the GDP factor and the growth factor is very attractive. And number 3, they have very squeezed markets outside. Their markets which are consuming is very squeezed, and this is where India is the best. Domestic consumption is pretty high right now. So I don't think anybody has to sell. The right thing we have to do is make the right policies so that they stay. It's not about coming, it's about holding on to them.
Well, Ajay, we wish you luck and thank you for sharing your views with us.
Thank you, Vikram.
And we see you next week. Until then, goodbye.
This program is brought to you by Air Astana.